welcome to Felix's Space Time. In today's video we have an exclusive tour around Starbase and an interview with Das from NASA Spaceflight. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Thank you for coming on here today for a chat from Starbase. Could you tell everyone a bit about you?
Hey, so a lot of people know me as Das. My real name's John Galloway, but I'm with NASA Spaceflight and I run all of their live streams and remote cameras. So I started with them a while ago. A couple of years back, we were doing some collaborations on launch coverage, and it's sort of grown way beyond that. And now I help with all of our remote coverage from Boca Chica, all of our launch coverage that we have from the Cape or Wallops or the West Coast or whatever, special events like from Spaceport America and stuff. But I sort of put together all the broadcast kits that we use for these remote video feeds that we get for people. So today I'm out here working on some of our robotic cameras at Starbase down in Boca Chica.
Okay, cool. What do you do for NASA Spaceflight? Can you talk a bit more about what it is like and what you have to do with the camera team, with the camera robots?
Oh, so I do a bunch of different things for NSF. Should probably get the starships in the background, huh? The starships and the sheriff. So I design all of our remote broadcast kits. So the kits that we use to bring in the video from the field, that is something that I put together. And I taught myself to do that because I was a Twitch streamer for a long time. So I started what I call the Kerbal Space Academy, and I used to teach people how to play Kerbal Space Program. And that sort of changed from just playing Kerbal Space Program into going to museums and like visiting space shuttles or space exhibits and that sort of stuff. And then we started doing that live. So it would be like a virtual field trip. And I designed some little kits that I would put together so that I could do those sorts of live shows. And then we started doing things like rocket launches and that sort of stuff. So I taught myself how to do all this. And then one day I said, hey, NASA Spaceflight's a cool organization. They're covering all these awesome things. I can always trust what they're saying. So maybe I should reach out to them and see if I could work with them to help cover rocket launches. And I went out for a couple launches where I was DOS with the Kerbal Space Academy and NASA Spaceflight. And we broadcast a couple launches and we said, this works out pretty well. It's really cool to be able to bring this. There are cars behind me. It's really cool to be able to bring this to people. And so we've been doing this for a couple of years now, but it's a lot of fun. I design the kits. I host shows. You probably have heard my voice before where we're on a broadcast and it's like, all right, folks, you know the drill. Give me a 5x5. Can you hear me? Can you see me? That sort of stuff. Then I'm out here turning wrenches on robots to make sure they have power and stuff. So all the banging, they're assembling these cryo shells behind me. So I don't know if you can hear all the banging and stuff like that.
That's fun. Can you tell me about the production site and what's going on there at the moment?
Could you repeat that? The banging was loud.
Yeah. Can you tell me a bit about the production site and what is happening there at the moment?
So the banging you hear behind me, they're assembling cryo shells and water tanks. I think that one's a shell behind me. So what they do, they have sort of like more room over here and they build stuff here before they move it out to the launch site. The launch site's 2-something miles in that direction. We're going to drive up that way. But even just today, let's see, can we see it? No, it's just barely peeking out from behind this. You see that other tank down there? That's a shell. And then the little tower segment, that's the 7th tower segment. And they assembled that here at this part of the production site. And then they're going to roll it on those self-propelled modular transporters up Highway 4. And then they're going to stack it on the rest of the tower. So this is sort of their staging area right behind me. They have the big Starbase sign and stuff, but they sort of pre-build stuff here, infrastructure, and then they move it down the road. And what I can do, that's the high bay. So right there, I can actually hop back in the truck here and I can drive up there right across from the high base so we can talk a little bit more about the high base. Sound good?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
All right, good deal. Well, let me hop back in and I'll just drive right up that way and give me like 2 minutes, okay?
Can you tell me a bit about what's happening at the high bay and what kind of things they do there normally?
So back again, active facility. There's all sorts of stuff going on behind me. But in the high bay right now, they're working on booster 3. So they've got the 3rd booster. Booster BN3, Booster 2. It's got a lot of different names, but I think we're going with Booster 3, and that is going to be one that they use to test some stuff. Elon said it's not supposed to fly, but they're going to roll it out and do some pad testing with it. And you can't really see it. There's actually a smaller part of it down low right now, right? And what they do is they build up a couple segments with those big stainless steel rings. And then they have another part that you can't see. It's over tucked into this side of the high bay. And there's that big bridge train up there that'll pick up that other part and stack it on the part that you can see there. Our camera is out on the highway, can see right into there, so you can really see what's happening. But from this angle today, you really can't see too much of it in there. But they're working on stacking that up. And then Elon says they're going to roll it out to the pad and do some testing. So the high bay is their big sort of covered structure that they use to work on that in the shade, I guess.
Okay. So what's happening? So yeah, okay. So that's all the questions I got for you for this part of the production site. And
Okay.
I'll see you at the robot camera area kind of thing.
Yeah. Sounds good. We couldn't get a shot today because the door was closed, but this big tent right here, that tent is where they assemble some of the stainless steel rings, and it's got a bunch of like robotic inspection machines in there. So like robotic arms that are looking at it, but we couldn't really see that today. So there's not really much else to see. You can see the top of the HLS nose cone and stuff, but I'll go up to the next side and we'll talk a little bit about the cameras, okay?
Cool. See you there.
All right.
Okay, so I believe you're over by the place where all the NASA spaceflight cameras are set up. Could you give us
some of them, yeah.
Could you give us kind of like a behind the scenes look at how they work and what they do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm over off Highway 4 now. You can see back behind me, there's the high bay back in this direction. So that's the production site we were just at. And if we go all the way back this way, you can see the tower, right? Like that, right? So I'm about halfway between the two. And we've got a couple different of our cameras here. This one here is Mars Cam right now. Let's see if we can get a hold of Mars Cam. Yeah. So this one is the one we refer to as Mars Cam. I mean, it's a security camera, but it looks like it should be, I'm going to be on the recording now. It looks like it should be a Mars robot, like on a rover or something. So we always refer to that one as Mars Cam. And right now it's actually watching the production site. So we can get you some video and show you what it looks like, but this can see all the way into the high bay. And when they stack the booster, like I was talking about, that camera has a great view of the crane lifting up the booster and stacking it back and forth and stuff like that, right? Let's see here. And we also have here, this one, we used to call it BCV, but now it's sort of highway cam. And again, it's just it's a security camera, and we've modified them so that they're all completely unattended. They can be out in the field. They don't have to be mounted on a house or anything like that. It's watching the high bay as well. We can remote control these. So from back at the studio, I'm from North Carolina. I don't live here in Texas. Michael Baylor out in California, we can actually log into these cameras and we can point them in one way or the other. We can have them zoom in on stuff, but they're all remote controlled. So it's one thing for them to be a security camera. It's another thing to be able to reliably talk to them when they're literally just out sitting in the middle of a field, right? Yeah. Like there's not a house or anything around it. They're all solar powered. So I'm out here actually doing a bunch of solar power upgrades to increase our capacity because we're adding a bunch of cameras. And that's all put together. It goes into sort of a control box down here. It's just a temporary box. I'm not done with it yet, you can see. But that's where all these solar controller and reporting and stuff like that is. It reports back to me how much battery charge they have, how much sun they got today. Are there any errors, or do we need to come and do any maintenance on them or anything like that? And then each robot has a control box on it. And actually the control boxes are empty. I just needed a place to put the logo. And I thought it looks really nice. It looks very official since I have the NSF Live logo on the robots. That's what actually lets us talk to the robots and that sort of stuff. And we've got a couple antennas, still work in progress on some of the antennas, but you can see that one 10-foot antenna, a little shorter antenna here. This is funny because this is actually this is a fishing pole holder. So it's meant to be taken out to the beach, and you put it in the sand and you put your fishing rod in it so you don't have to hold your own fishing rod. I borrowed this from Boca Chica gal, and I put an antenna for our robot in it instead. But we're going to be moving to a larger, more permanent mount for those sorts of things. But when you see the live broadcast, like when you see our live coverage, a lot of our footage comes from these robots. They're solar powered. They can be out in the weather. They can be out in the heat. They're hardened, so they don't shut down when they overheat and stuff like that. They can deal with it. And we can leave these out here 24/7. We don't have to have Mary sitting by the side of the road or Tyler or Jack or somebody like that sitting outside forever. So it's a little bit of a, I guess, estimate on how they work. Can't give away all the secrets, so no opening up the empty boxes or anything like that. But how's that?
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned when you were talking about the solar panel that you're adding in a few more cameras. Would you be able to
A
tell
couple.
what they're pointing
Yeah.
at?
Everything. One of our big things is we don't just rely on like one camera, right? We have a lot of different cameras. There's no single point of failure. And so at any given broadcast, we may be troubleshooting an issue with one camera, but when that happens, we just swap to another camera, or we swap to another camera, we swap to another camera, we swap to one of the field remotes like Boca Chica Gal uses. And so our theory is we put out a lot of cameras at a lot of different angles so we can catch what's going on. And on occasion, if we have issues with one, we have something else to cover with. We switch over to another camera. So we're covering a lot of stuff out here. I don't think SpaceX is going anywhere.
Okay. And these are all hooked up to something that controls them all, and then you can pop them into the live broadcast, yes?
Yep, that's exactly right. I'm using my phone for this right now, but I can actually control all of our cameras from my phone. Sometimes I feel like Iron Man, where I'm like holding up the phone and using it to point the cameras at stuff. But everything can be controlled from the phone. It can be controlled from the computer. There's an entire like network security thing that we've got set up where the cameras all dial in and they report their status, and certain people have access to point them. And then I'm also working on hey. Apparently he's on the camera right now. I don't know if it can look over at there you go. If I had to guess, I would say that's probably Michael controlling the highway cam right there. What's up, Michael? How's it going? But anyways, he is logged into that remotely. We just have a couple people that have access to do that. The other thing I was saying, we're setting it up so that Mary can actually see what's on the cameras on her phone. So if she's out filming something at the production site, she can now check her phone and she can check in the going on somewhere else and say, oh, I'm going to go get better footage. Because as cool as the robots are, like I love the robots, right? But they just can't get all the angles. They can't get the really high quality video like Boca Chica Gal and the other photographers get. So we use them to cover sort of 24/7 and see what's going on. And then we can roll out somebody with a nicer camera to go and get whatever's going on. Bring up Mars Cam. Mars Cam moves really fast. Mars Cam has some really nice robotic servos in it. I don't know if he'll wake that one up, but anyways, that's sort of what we do with them. It's really nice. They take a lot of work to keep going, but they're out here in the field and we don't have to be when it's hot.
Okay. You see every now and then you see people with massive long cameras with massive long lenses that capture things that are so far away. But then you've got these cameras with small lenses but catch things so far away. How does that work?
So the trick with that, those are nicer cameras, right? These security cameras are not really nice DSLR broadcast cameras. Some of the nice, like really high-end, tens of thousands of dollars cameras, these cameras are not that. So these cameras can get higher magnifications because they have smaller sensors on them, right? The way it works is if you have a larger sensor, you can capture more light, but you need a bigger lens in order to focus on the larger sensor, roughly. I'm not a photographer, okay? I do the robots of the broadcast. But these, because their sensors are smaller, they're not as nice of a picture, but they can get away with higher magnification with smaller lenses, right? Like this one will do 25x. We don't even talk about it in millimeters. This one will do 25x because it's a little 2.8 millimeter sensor in there. And this is a 2.8, 2.9. I think this is a 1.8, 1.9 in this one, but they're not these huge barrel lenses. You definitely get nicer video from those big, nice cameras, but they tend to be more to carry around. They overheat sometimes. They're not meant to be out in the weather. These puppies out here can stay out here all day. They report if they get too hot, they'll send me an email and be like, Das, it's 70 degrees C in my box. What's the deal here? Like you need to come drill a vent or something. But they're out here in the heat and the rain and whatever, just doing their thing.
Okay, and how often do you need to get these cameras and swap them out? When was the last time you installed new cameras?
We're always upgrading cameras. So I've got a backlog of cameras back at my workshop. And I've got a line of cameras on the floor that's taking up shop space, but we move them around as needed. We've had a couple hiccups, like we had one where we got some condensation in it. So we pulled that one in and we swapped it out with another camera. But the whole network, the control boxes are separate from the cameras. So I could swap out Mars Cam with a different model camera and I just have to replace the camera. Or I've got a stack of these model cameras here. And if something goes wrong with this one, I can just hot swap another camera right in. We don't have to rebuild the entire thing. So we've only really had one issue where a screw wasn't tightened down all the way. We got some water in one camera. Camera was fine. I just opened it up and let it dry out, and we replaced it temporarily with another one. But I'm really proud of these too. Look, I've got my little CNC machined camera adapters. So they're just mounted on normal tripods, right? And then I got these custom designed adapters. They've got little leveling. Can you see the bubble levels and stuff so that we can level everything? But now I'm ordering these. I've got the design for these, and we're swapping all our cameras out to these nicer adapters that just let them attach to a regular tripod. So.
Wow. That's really, really interesting, actually. That's all the questions I got for you for the camera base. And I'll see you at the launch site for a few more questions.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'll get back down there, and we have just enough time, it looks like.
Cool. Can you tell us a bit about what's happening at the launch sites at the moment?
I think it's more what's not happening at the launch site at the moment. SpaceX is busy out here. The first thing you see, they're doing a ton of road construction right behind me. Because every time they roll out the Starships, the SPMTs, the tanks, the tower segments, those transporters actually do a lot of damage to the old road. It was just a beach road to get people out to the beach so they can go and pick up shells or whatever. And so they're doing a ton of road work. They put down a whole new road bed and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if they're going to put concrete or something more resilient through here because they have so much heavy traffic for the Starships and stuff. But that's just on the road in front of it. In the background, we got a couple different things. This big Buckner crane right here, this yellow crane, this crane is supporting the operations at the orbital tank farm. So you can see those two big stainless steel propellant tanks there. And then is that a shell or a water tank? I think that's a shell next to it. There's a water tank on the other side. That's where they're going to store the propellants and the things that they need for Starship. And then Starship Super Heavy, actually. And then back behind me, you can see right there, I think, you can actually see the orbital launch platform right there. And that is the base. They still need to put the table and stuff like that on top of it. But that is where they're actually going to stack the Super Heavy booster, and then up on top of it, they're going to stack the Starship. And that's the tower, that segment at the very beginning where I'm dodging that rollout. They're supposed to be rolling out the 7th tower segment. So just yesterday morning, we saw them use the big crane in the background, the multicolor crane. We call it Franken crane. They put it together from all sorts of pieces of other cranes. And so my understanding is the workers call it Franken crane. So we sort of picked up on what the workers call it because it's pieced together. But that's what they're using to stack those big tower segments up there. So they've got a 7th segment coming. And then there's like a 7.5 segment. There's like a half segment or a cap thing that they're going to put on top. That was all the way back there at the assembly yard that we were talking about first. But today, one reason I'm sort of on a time limit right now is because they're literally going to roll one of those tower segments, the 7th tower segment, out from the production site to the launch site. They're going to park it down at the base of that crane. And then within the next couple of days, when they're ready to go, the weather's good and stuff like that, they'll use the big dog crane to stack the 7th segment up there. And we've got cameras from our cameras over there on the highway. We have one angle there. We've got cameras way up this way towards South Padre Island as well. They can see it from a different angle. When Mary comes out, or when Tyler or Jack or whoever, they'll come over to this area where I am because it's yet another angle. You go a little bit further up this way, you can see past the wall. You go over to the beach, you can get on the dunes there. But there's all sorts of work being done. I think those are the big 3 things: the road construction, the orbital propellant farm, and then the tower. Also, you could just see it. Let me see if I can do this. It's right past the berm. So you see the big dirt berm right there?
Yeah.
They put in that big earthworks to help, I guess, deflect some of the blast and protect some of the equipment. But then over to the side of it, that's pad A. Am I doing okay? I think I got it. Suborbital pad A is right there. And they actually installed, there's some triangular adapters on the top of it. And they're going to use that to test that booster 3 we were talking about all the way back in the high bay. They've installed those adapters so that the booster looks like it has 12 connection points on the bottom, and Starship has 6 connection points on the bottom. So they put in these triangles, and each one of the triangle takes a single Starship connection point and makes 2 hard points for, it looks like, the Super Heavy booster. And so we think they're going to finish up that booster and roll it out here and put it on suborbital pad A. Are they going to light the engines? Are they going to fuel it? Are they going to do cryo tests? Who knows all the different tests they're going to do? But all that's going to happen, right? I'm hoping I'm pointing at the right thing. I'm going to watch this video and be like, Das, you were nowhere near the right thing. I hope I'm pointing at the right thing. I'm looking at the cell phone screen like that. But that's really what's going on over here. Every day there's tons of construction, there's tons of traffic, and it's busy.
Okay, and I believe that's Starhopper in the background.
Yeah, Hopper is over there, right on the side. That right there, I think, right there. So Hopper is the original one that hopped. I guess that's how it got its name. And it still serves there. We think it has water in it, like it's a water tank, because we've seen a bunch of big pumps and stuff like that connected to the bottom. It's also got a ton of cameras and stuff on top. In my claim to fame, our Mars cam over there, if you go to the far side of Hopper, right, and you look up on the top of Hopper, SpaceX actually has the same model camera that we use. They use it on top of Hopper, and I guess they use it to look around at what's going on. I don't know if they use it for the broadcast or whatever, but I was up there and I was like, is that a Mars cam on Hopper? And somebody took a picture for me. I'm like, it's a Mars cam on Hopper. Look at that. So SpaceX is copying NASA spaceflight. Jeez, come on, SpaceX.
Cool.
Not true. I don't know if that's true or not.
If would you ever leave NASA spaceflight to work somewhere else, or do you think this is where you're going to stay?
This is too much fun. I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff. We're not a big company. We're not NASA actual, you know. If you're working at a big company like that, I think it's probably a lot more rigid. It's a lot less flexible. And so would it be cool to work for NASA? Would it be cool for work to work for SpaceX? Sure, that would be cool. But out here, I sort of decide what we're doing with our cameras. I'm responsible for making sure we get them deployed, making sure that when we've got however many people watching a broadcast that you get the video and we can use it for the stuff. It's a really challenging thing. And I really love doing NASA spaceflight. So, you know, even if SpaceX came in and said, hey, Das, wow, good job with the cameras. I think, you know, we want you to come work for SpaceX. I don't know, that they'd have to give NASA spaceflight a run for their money, because NASA spaceflight's doing a lot of really cool stuff. It's a really creative problem solving thing, you know?
Okay. Will you and NASA spaceflight ever cover launches from the UK if and when we develop a kind of space?
Hey, sign me up. I've already done some broadcasting from the UK. I went out there for the 75th anniversary of D-Day, and I was near Duxford at the Imperial War Museum. So I took one of my broadcast kits out there and broadcast from Duxford and then down on the other side of the channel at the beaches of Normandy. I've done some broadcasting out there, and I would love an excuse to come back again and broadcast a rocket launch or something. So they're working on those facilities up north. If they get something launching, if we can get a camera there. It's not a technical problem.
Okay, wow. What rocket launches have you watched in person, and which one would you like to watch in person?
Let's see. Of course, I've seen the Falcons. It's hard to shake a stick and not see a Falcon 9 launch. I've seen all the Falcon Heavies in person, even the first Falcon Heavy. I've got that big YouTube video where we're screaming at the rocket. I've seen Antares launch out of Wallops. I've seen Delta IV Heavy. I saw Parker Solar Probe go out of the Cape, and I've seen things launch from Vandenberg as well. I didn't see a Delta II. I was there when a Delta II launched it out of Vandenberg, but the marine layer got me, and I didn't even hear the rocket go. I couldn't see anything. All I could see was fog that day, but I was there when the last Delta II launched. What have I missed? I think I've seen all the major rockets that are currently launching in the United States, both coasts, up at Antares, up at Wallops, down at the Cape. Of course, we've seen Starship do hops and stuff like that. So I would love to see a Soyuz launch someday. Soyuz is a very cool rocket. It just keeps working, and I would love to see a Soyuz launch, just the big tower arms that retract back and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are like, oh, SpaceX, catching a booster with the tower. Look at some of the equipment that Soyuz uses. Way smaller, right? But if you've ever seen those big cantilevered counterweights that move back, it's not a new thing to have big machinery moving around rockets. So I'd love to see a Soyuz. I think that's the one that I haven't seen that I'd love to see. Plus, super heavy. That'd be cool. SLS. Hey, I like big rockets. I'd like to see SLS fly. I just like seeing rockets launch, you know?
Okay. And which ones would you like to watch in person?
Oh, whatever I can get my hands on. I'm not picky. I mean, whatever it is, any launch that I have an opportunity to go see. It's one thing to see it online where it's like a video, right? And it's another thing to be there in person. Like if you're there in person, even if you're 10 miles away, that rocket goes up and you hear the audio, you hear it like ripping the atmosphere, I like to say, and you feel it. It like shakes you. So any rocket that I have an opportunity to go and see in person, sign me up. Of course, nowadays, NASA spaceflight, I spend so much time in the studio, I never am allowed to go to the launches because I'm back in the studio doing the broadcast, and Chris G and Thomas and all them get to go to the launches. Also, I think y'all owe me a bunch of mission patches too. I used to get mission patches when I would go to launches, and now I don't get mission patches sitting in the studio. So need to step their game up on that, NSF.
Cool. What's your plans for the future regarding kind of filming the Starship? Are you going to ever officially kind of move to Starbase and the Starship?
Me personally, probably not. I'm from down here. I grew up in Corpus Christi, and I spent a lot of time when I was younger on the beach and stuff like that. But now I've got family back in North Carolina, and I'm not leaving North Carolina anytime soon. So I like coming down here. It's fun to come down and visit, but part of the entire thing with my robotic cameras is I can help with the coverage, and I don't have to be there. I can be back home in North Carolina with my family.
Okay.
That's not a bad place to visit, though.
Cool. That's all the questions I've got for you. Thank you so much for being able to go into Starbase, kind of give us like a little kind of tour kind of thing with the cameras, launch, production.
Of course, I apologize. I know the cell phone signal was a little hiccupy sometimes as I moved around, and I'm just using the phone mic and stuff like that. But I hope you're able to hear me mostly and stuff, and get some construction noises in the background and see what's going on. But good times.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much. And
of course.
And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too. I'm gonna get out of here before they close the road because I got to get to the airport and pick up Boca Chica gal. So I'll see you later. Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye. Take it easy.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.